Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another time of Bible teaching. I've been talking about Rapture in 2024, talking about Rosh Hashanah, and I've been saying it doesn't have to happen this year, and it didn't. So we're going to start looking at just some Rapture and prophecy type fundamentals, because there's lots of puzzle pieces that you got to be able to put together. In the last one I just did, we talked about how tribulation, the time of Jacob's trouble, the time of affliction, is a week of years on God's calendar, and that sets certain parameters for where prophetic events can happen. Okay, and if you don't understand that, you start putting things in places they don't belong. But the question is, when does that week of years start? There are people that have different opinions about when a week of years would start, when a year would start. And it's interesting. Okay, let's just go into the scripture and we'll talk about this. There are people out there, so let's open up our Bibles. Where we want to go is Exodus 12. And people are telling me, or telling you, that God changed the new year. He changed it from Tishri 1 to Exodus 2, and he did it in this verse right here. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, "This shall be the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." Does it say it's the beginning of the year? Well, no, but it says it's the beginning of months. Okay. There are two calendars. But stay with me. Stay with me. There are actually four. This is a Jewish website, Shabbat.org. See, Nisan 1 is a new year for kings or festivals. This word festivals are the appointed times of the Lord. This is where they are counted from. Okay. You set the barley, using the barley when it's almost ripe, you set this month, Nisan, which used to be called Abib, and Abib gives you the definition for barley that's almost ripe. That way you have the first fruits of the barley for the Feast of First Fruits, and that's all a picture of Messiah because he is the first fruits to the resurrection of light. So then you would count from here to set the rest of the months, the first month, the second month, the third month, all the way down to the seventh month, which is Tishri. Tishri 1 is considered the new year for years. And people just say, no, that's wrong. They don't know what they're doing. Wouldn't it be nice if somewhere in Scripture, God just said, yeah, here is where Rosh Hashanah is. And there are people out there that, oh my goodness, you mentioned Rosh Hashanah, and it's just like you've mentioned that you're worshiping Satan or something because this is a pagan thing that God never mentioned in the Bible. That's not true. All right. So I want to go back to Exodus 12 real quick and just look at one word there. It's the beginning of month. See that word beginning? Let's look at that. That R-O apostrophe S, just try to remember that right there because we're going to see it again. R-O apostrophe S and Hodes, month, which is new moon, month, monthly. What's interesting is a lot of people now are trying to say that the new moon is a full moon and a full moon is a new moon because on Nisan 14, where Messiah was crucified, there was a solar eclipse. Do you know that I was researching, the average solar eclipse lasts about 4 minutes? They said the longest one in history is like 8 minutes, and it's something they've calculated in the future because I believe that one hasn't even occurred yet. How long did the solar eclipse happen when Messiah was crucified? 3 hours. That was not a solar eclipse that we know solar eclipses. Just saying, 3 hours versus average 4 minutes. That's something different. Who knows? Maybe God just put his finger in front of the sun for a little bit or flipped the switch. Anyhow, so we're looking for Rosh Hashanah in the Bible. Let's go to Leviticus. I'm sorry, not Leviticus. We want to go to Ezekiel. Going the wrong way. Here we go. Ezekiel 40, and I've been here before, but I'm going to show you something here I've never showed you before. Yes, even those who have been around with me for quite some time. 40 verse 1. First of all, understand that Ezekiel 40 through 48 is all about the millennial kingdom. In Ezekiel 43, we see Messiah walking through the eastern gate and sitting on the throne of David. In the 25th year of our captivity, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was captured, on the very same day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he took me there. Wow, that's a lot of numbers. And a lot forever I would read scriptures like this and I'd be like, okay, let's get through those numbers and get to the good stuff. No, the numbers are the good stuff. The beginning of the year on the 10th day of the month. Let's look at this beginning of the year. We'll first look at the word beginning. That's that same word there in year, Santa. Okay, let's look at how do you pronounce these two words? Beginning and year. Beginning of the year. How do you pronounce them? Rosh for beginning. Shahana. It's Rosh Hashanah. And that's how you pronounce it in Hebrew. So here we see that the beginning of the year is Rosh Hashanah. But not only that, when is it? Here he says, in the 25th year of our captivity, the beginning of the year on the 10th day of the month. When is it that the beginning of the year is not on the first day of the month, but it's on the 10th day of a month? It's a year of Jubilee. So let's look at that in Leviticus 25. And now you shall count 7 Sabbaths for yourself, 7 times 7, and the time of the 7th Sabbath shall be 49 years for you. You shall cause the trumpet of Jubilee to sound on the 10th day in the 7th month. Again, the calendar was set in Nisan, the beginning of months, and you counted down to the 7th month here. Exodus came before Leviticus. Okay, so it's in the 7th month that is the beginning of the year on the 10th day. This is what we're seeing here. And you shall count for yourself 7 Sabbaths of years for yourself, 7 times 7, and at the time of the 7 Sabbaths will be that. And at the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be for you 49 years. So in other words, God can do math. 7 times 7 is 49. Then you shall cause the trumpet of Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, the day of atonement. You shall make the trumpet sound throughout the land. This is the year of Jubilee. You shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all of its inhabitants. And it shall be a Jubilee for you. This is a year. I've had somebody say, well, no, the year of Jubilee starts like halfway in one year, halfway in another, and it sort of just connects the years together. It doesn't say that. It shall be a Jubilee for you, and each shall return to his possession, and each shall return to his family. This means if you sold the farm, you get it back. Everybody goes back to their land. It's when these things are released. So let's go down and look at this further. Let's go into verse 24. This is important to understand. And in all the land of your possessions you shall grant redemption from the land. Redemption of the land. If one of your brethren becomes poor and has sold some of his possession, and if his redeeming relative comes to redeem it, he may redeem what his brother sold. Okay, think about Boaz, the kinsman and redeemer. He redeemed the land. It's a picture of Messiah. Let's keep reading. Or if the man has no one to redeem it, but he himself becomes able to redeem it, then let him count the years since its sale and restore the remainder to whom he sold it, and he may return to his possession. So in other words, the price to redeem it is what was used off of it. In other words, how much value was the crops during that time? It's an agricultural economy. But if he is not able to restore to himself, then what was sold shall remain in the hand of him who bought it until the year of Jubilee. And in the year of Jubilee it shall be released and shall return to his possession. So if you've sold your land, you've lost your land, in a year of Jubilee, the land comes back to you. Does that make sense? Okay, this is when it is released, and it's released back to you. Read up here. The land shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine. You are strangers and sojourners with me. So the land comes back to Messiah. It's always been his land. No, it was lost by Adam. Okay. It's interesting. The seal judgments, there's only one document in ancient Israel that has 7 seals. It's a land title, a deed to a land. And when he breaks those 7 seals and starts tribulation, he's declaring, I'm taking it back. A jubilee. This is a time of freedom. This is when we are taken back to the millennial kingdom. The land is restored to Messiah when he sits on the throne of David. Let's go back to Ezekiel. And I'm going the wrong way. Let's do it this way. Ezekiel 40. So he gets his vision at the beginning of this. He gets this vision at the beginning of a year of Jubilee, when the land goes back to the original owner, when the inhabitants are set free, when freedom reigns through the land, when Messiah sits on the throne. Son of man, this is the place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. Soles of my feet mean ownership, that he owns the land. When Boaz is the kinsman redeemer, the guy that he redeemed the land from gave him a sandal, because that sandal had the dirt of the land on it, the dust of the land on it. It represents ownership. Anyhow, so the year starts at Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, the beginning of the year. Whereas if we go back to Exodus 12, this speaks about the beginning of months. It is not the beginning of the year. From here, you count to the 7th month, and that is where we find the beginning of the year on Rosh Hashanah. And that wording, Rosh Hashanah, is found in Ezekiel 40, chapter 1. And again, this is important because tribulation is a week of years. You have to start at the beginning of a year. You have to start the beginning of a year. Okay? And that is at Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to include this. I keep talking about it. Actually, I'm going to include this document here, which it's, I forget, 14 pages or something, or 21 pages, something. It goes through all the different names and themes about Rosh Hashanah, and they all scream rapture. Teshuvah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Teruah, Yom Hadin, Yom Hamelech, Yom Hakazorn, the time of Jacob's trouble, the opening of the gates. My favorite down here is the last one, Yom Hakaseth, the hidden day. And this is what it means when somebody says, no man knows the day or the hour. It's wrapped up in this Yom Hakaseth, the hidden day. I thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day. Take care.